work. I just had 3 weeks off, so I'm ready to work. I was actually really excited to come back to work because I was starting to get bored, but I had a great time at home. And this trip, so far, I do have a 17-day pattern, but for now, I only have 7 days worth of schedule posted. So the line that I'm holding, it's called secondary. It's not exactly reserve, but it's in some ways similar to reserve. It's a little confusing, but the cruise schedulers post a little bit at a time. They don't fill in the entire thing at once. So I get to know like a couple days before, a week before, and they like kind of puzzle it in little by little. So for now, I am in Anchorage right now. I'm operating to Chicago now. And then as soon as I get there, I commercial deadhead back to LAX, and I have a 3-day layover in LA, so I get to go home. So I'll be basically collecting per diem. I'm still working because it's a layover for me, but I'll be at home. Oh, and then after that, I'm supposed to operate from LA to Travis Air Base, which is right next to San Francisco. It's in between San Francisco and Sacramento. So that's gonna be an hour flight from LA to there, which is really interesting. Flying a 747 for 1 hour, so that'll be fun. And then I limo down to SFO, and then I deadhead back to LA, and then I have another layover. So I just keep coming back to LA. Yeah, not bad. I'll take it. Just kidding, I'm back. We are delayed 2 hours. It would have been really nice to know before I started getting ready, but whatever. This time we're actually going. See ya in Chicago. Ooh. This is actually day 2 of us trying for the Anchorage to Chicago flight. The first day, I didn't even bother recording anything because it was so chaotic, but basically we had some flight control issues that we found out after engine start, and we tried to get maintenance to sort it out, but it was a bigger problem than we thought, so we eventually timed out and went back to the hotel. So this is day 2, everything got fixed, and we waited about 2 hours for de-icing, and that's considered ridiculously long. Usually, like the longest I've ever waited to de-ice was maybe 40 minutes in my previous life, but I guess they were short-staffed this day. So that's the Iceman you're looking at with the flash in that yellow container. He's de-icing us with type 1 fluid.
Yep. How long do we got? We gotta start the time.
This day, the weather was showing freezing drizzle. So with active precipitation like that, we have to do something called a hot calculator, which is hold over time. So we calculate exactly how many minutes we can wait on the ground before we have to de-ice again in case there's any delays. So the second flight where we were de-icing, that one also got canceled. After we started the engine, we had some issues with the engine, so we had another no-go. And scheduling told me that I'll be deadheading from Anchorage back to LAX. But when I woke up to get ready for my deadhead, I saw that the schedule changed, like always, and I was deadheading from Anchorage to Miami. So that's the flight I'm on right now. And I won't say what airplane this is, but if you think you know, please leave your answer in the comment section. I want to see how many of you guys know. The layout of the crew rest area is way different from the airplane I fly. And this one doesn't have an upper deck area. That was kind of interesting because once you climb up the stairs and you're at the L1 door, that's it. There's no more going up. Before I go downstairs, I give myself about 10 minutes to prep for the flight. So there's a couple things that I download and review prior to showing up. So I'm in Miami right now, by the way. I'm going to Bogota, and then from Bogota I'm going to Quito in Ecuador, and I've never been to these airports. So since I'm unfamiliar, go through a couple documents that the company gives out. I first download our flight plan on the Jet chart, and we just punch in our flight number, and then our route comes up. So whatever the dispatcher filed, we get access to it. It's public, so I can get it downloaded while I have hotel Wi-Fi prior to getting to the airplane, so that I know what the route is. And then on the Jet chart, so I downloaded the flight plan, by the way. That's our flight plan, Miami to Bogota. And prior to going down, we have a company chart. But this is an internal thing. I guess I'm not gonna show you because I'm not sure how secretive this is, but it gives us a lot of information about the airport, about our station reps, just information that we should keep in mind if we haven't been there, such as, you know, the airport elevation is pretty high, so there's things that we need to be careful of. There's high terrain. We need to know where we're gonna park, who to contact to get the parking, gate info, all that good stuff is all on the station guides and the company charts. So I go through all of them to get familiar. And even after I go through this, I still don't know a lot, so I always have to ask the captain, which is never a bad thing. It's always good to ask questions. So I'm pulling up our OFP. OFP is, man, so many acronyms. I actually don't know what it stands for. Official, I don't know, it's a release. So it gives us all the information that we need for the flight. And we get a paper copy once you get to the airplane, but I always download it prior so I could take a look at it. Like, it gives us all the information about the aircraft, about the route, about the flight plan, anything special that we should note along the way, like turbulence, winds aloft, all that good stuff. So I get that downloaded while I have free hotel Wi-Fi. And I guess I can't show this. I'm not gonna show this actually, but I go through it, I highlight things that I need, and this helps me get a good idea of what I can expect for the flight. Like, I had this one flight where we literally had like over 10 MELs. So that took me a while going through each one, and they were all, not all MELs, DDGs, but some are like, you know, NEFs, never ever fixed. So it wasn't a big deal, but it took me a while to go over all of it. So I like to brief my airplane, the flight plan, everything prior, especially because I'm new. I want to make sure that if I don't know anything, I don't want to know while I'm inside the airplane. I want to know what I don't know before I get on the plane, if that makes sense. Oh, and I gotta go now. Bye. I forgot to mention, so my Chicago flight did not happen. That flight got canceled, and then they were trying to deadhead me from Anchorage to LA, which is where I live. And I only brought so many clothes to survive till I got to LA, but they canceled that, and then they deadheaded me here to Miami to operate a bunch of flights back and forth from South America. So I am out of clothes. Like, I have no clothes. I had to do laundry like once every 3 days. I have no clothes now. So bad planning on my end, because I should have known they could do anything to my schedule. They could change it as needed, because I am on a secondary line, which basically means I'm on reserve, but they could change it as needed, as company need, based on company need. So that's my bad. Yeah, I have no clothes right now, so it's going great so far.
On this leg from Miami to Bogota, I am the pilot monitoring, so I will be handling the navigation and the radios. Bogota is a very challenging airport. The elevation is very high and there's a lot of terrain surrounding it, so it's a captain-only landing if it's in the nighttime. And we're landing just before sunrise, so the captain was the pilot flying. And those of you who keep asking how tall I am, I'm tall enough where I could fly this plane, but the rudder has to be full forward. But all jokes aside, don't worry about your height. I believe there's no height restriction for pilots, at least in the US. The four main things we check on a pre-flight is the chocks, the gear doors, the flight controls, and the APU exhaust. We are in Bogota and our turn time is 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So I've already done my pilot monitoring leg in the front because we are a 3-man crew, 3-man or woman, 3 people crew. So I operated with the captain coming into Bogota, and from Bogota to Quito, the next FO is going to be operating it. So I am done with my part. I'm going to be third pilot on this second leg, and we have about 2.5 hours till our departure. So I'm gonna go to sleep. I already made my bed. I triple layered myself. So I'm gonna sleep. Good night. Since we're continuing our route from Bogota to Quito and we're not deplaning, I didn't have to change back into uniform, so I'm just wearing my comfy clothes. As a third pilot, or relief pilot as we call it, there's a couple tasks that I'm mainly in charge of while we're in the seat. So I'm working on logbook entries right now. It's like record keeping, so I enter in basic information about the flight, like the flight number, our crew members' names and IDs, and basic information like fuel, times, and if there's any discrepancies or maintenance write-ups. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I had just woken up from a nap at this point and was told that we're departing an hour early. So I rushed out of my bunk in excitement, but obviously my face is super swollen and my makeup is half erased and I look a mess, but I was so ready to get to the hotel.
Today we're going Miami to Brazil, São Paulo, and this is a line check flight, or this is an OE flight for one of the captains, so I'm probably not gonna be operating, or I'm operating. I'm not gonna be flying or monitoring. I'll be either third or fourth pilot today. This will be my first time going to Brazil.
Like, what's it, 80 to 20 on this thing?
Oh.
want to fly out here.